Hey guys, so I watched Stranger Things season 2 and I am here with my thoughts on the season and the show and all that jazz. So I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. When it came out last year, I watched it very quickly. I don't remember exactly how quickly I watched it, probably within like a day or two, similar to this season, and I fell in love. I am, as you guys know, a big nerd, and I love like alternate dimensions and alternate realities and parallel universes and all that kind of stuff. I love like aliens and creatures and everything with regard to sci-fi and adventure. So this was very much up my alley. I watched E.T. when I was younger, but I wouldn't say it was like something that I was obsessed with, which this show is obviously based upon E.T. and many other 80s things. Sorry if I'm touching my hair a lot, but yeah. So basically this show is about 12 year olds, around there. And they are friends, and this show is set in Hawkins, Indiana in 1983. And basically they are friends, and this show starts with them playing D&D, which I have never played D&D myself, but I can respect that whole thing. And basically they play D&D, and we find out that the things that happen in the game foreshadow what's gonna happen in the show, which you don't really know until you're further along into the show, but it's like awesome. So yeah. And basically the Demogorgon, as we all know, or hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about, it takes Will, one of the boys, into the alternate dimension, and the show is basically about finding Will, but also it's about a character named Eleven, who is basically a little girl who is experimented on by a laboratory nearby in Hawkins, and they did experiments on her, and she has telekinesis, and basically the boys find her while trying to find Will, and at first they don't know what to do with her. She's like this foreign entity to them, and they're freaked out by her powers. And basically the show is about them trying to find their friend Will and trying to help this girl named Eleven. And in order to save Will, they have to go to the Upside Down, which is the alternate dimension, and fight the Demogorgon. And it's just, it's so good, so good. So there probably will be spoilers in this video, so just warning you, if you haven't watched the show, that you should go watch it, because it's amazing and spectacular. And if you like the 80s, if you like sci-fi, even if you don't like 80s or sci-fi, I think you would still enjoy it, because I've heard people who don't like sci-fi and that kind of stuff still really love the show. So, but yeah, okay, let's get into season 2. I watched season 2 within a 2-day period. I was actually trying to like make it so I could, my plan when it came out on the 31st of October was to watch 2 episodes a day. That didn't obviously happen, but because because I'm 27, I can be impulsive at times, but I kind of wanted it to be like a slower kind of process, and to like be able to like review the episodes. But I mean, I watched it within a 2-day period, and it was just so good, so good. So basically the season 2 starts with the boys going to the arcade. And since I talked about the season 1, they did find Will in season 1. And basically season 2, a lot of season 2 is about Will and the aftermath and after effects of his time in the Upside Down, and what happened to him, and how he's dealing with it, and how changed he is from that experience. So basically a lot of the show is about that. And the first thing I need to talk about is Noah Schnapp's performance as Will in season 2 was remarkable. I mean, if he doesn't get nominated for some kind of award, Emmy, whatever, then it's a travesty, because his performance was literally amazing, and not just for a child actor, just for an actor in general. So to get that out of the way, but I really liked Will. He definitely was one of my favorite parts of the season 2. I did really like him. But I'm a huge fan of Mike and Eleven, which Mike is one of the boys, and Eleven, obviously, like I already said, is the telekinesis girl. And I love them. They're she and him are two of my favorite characters, and I just love them so much. But Will was really, like, interesting. He was a really interesting aspect of the story in general. So basically, with this season, it started with him seeing, well, season 1 ended with him in a bathroom coughing up a slug-looking thing from, obviously, what we you know from the Upside Down. And basically, like, the Upside Down, like, flashes on and then flashes off, and that continues to happen in this second season. He, like, has these, like, flashes of the Upside Down, and basically he sees, like, this shadow monster, and he explains to his mom, Joyce, who's played by Winona Ryder, that it's basically like he feels this monster and he feels the presence. It's like a feeling. And I mean, some of his scenes, I mean, all of his scenes really are, like, fantastic, but and I think I've heard some people say that they didn't really like the shadow monster, or the mind flayer, as we later learn in the season is called the mind flayer. Some people didn't really like him, I mean, not him, but that creature, this shadow monster, as the villain in this season. I mean, I think compared to the Demogorgon, true, it wasn't as, like, maybe scary in some ways, but I liked the mind flayer personally. I thought it was an interesting, like, different kind of Cloverfield-esque kind of monster. Kind of reminded me of Cloverfield a lot, and like that kind of, like, those kind of creatures kind of thing, like aliens. And I didn't mind it. I mean, I honestly, like, the first scene in the first episode where we see the mind flayer shadow monster, when Will's at the arcade and he sees the monster. I mean, I was legitimately, like, kind of scared. I mean, like, I think the scariest part for me seeing the shadow monster was in one of the episodes when he runs out of the school and, like, the shadow monster starts to chase him, and it like it goes into his mouth, and it's just like that part, like, really scared me. So yeah, but I personally didn't hate the shadow monster. I thought it was interesting. So yeah. Dustin and Steve. Let's talk about Dustin and Steve. I didn't like Steve in the first season for the most part, which most people didn't, because he was written as, like, a douchebag, and we don't like douchebags, most people anyways. And I was pleasantly surprised that in the second season he actually turned out to be, like, a really interesting, and he actually turned into a really good person, which ironically for Nancy and him, like, I honestly never liked him and Nancy. Some people think that Nancy used Steve or didn't, you know, or whatever. I don't think Nancy used Steve. I think it was more along the lines of she thought that Steve was the kind of person that she should be with. Probably deep down. I mean, I think in some ways she definitely liked him. I don't know if she ever loved him per se, but I think she did have some kind of feelings for him, of course. But I don't think that she used him necessarily. Maybe a little bit more. I've also heard people say that Joyce used Bob, which I will get to in a little bit. But my point, but talking about Dustin and Steve, try not to get sidetracked, but I really did like their friendship and their brother, like their big brother little brother kind of dynamic. It was really, like, interesting and fun and just, like, different and stuff. And they were probably to be honest, they probably were one of my favorite parts of the season, just because they you know, I really liked the scene on the railroad tracks where they're talking, like, about like girls and stuff. I just thought that was really cute, and I think one of the biggest things that's great about them is that it was so unexpected. Like when you went into season 2, you didn't think, oh, Steve and Dustin are gonna totally become bros. Like, you didn't think that. You thought, like, you know, you thought Steve and Nancy were probably going to get hot and heavy, and Dustin was gonna, you know, help us friends. Like, you didn't think that that was gonna happen. So I personally liked it. Speaking of Bob, Bob is Joyce's new boyfriend in the 2nd season, played by Sean Astin from Lord of the Rings. I really liked Bob. I thought he was definitely an interesting, like, fun, more like lighthearted kind of character, which I thought was kind of nice to have like that kind of balance in the 2nd season. I did like him. I heard some people told me that they didn't love how he died and blah 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 blah. I mean, I do, but I also heard that some people think that his storyline was more of like a cautionary tale, which I definitely think it was. You know, I think, but I thought he was really good. I mean, I really did. I personally thought out of all the new characters, I probably enjoyed him the most out of all the new characters that we saw, because he was just a good guy, and he was funny, and he didn't try too hard to like get Jonathan and Will to like him and stuff. So I personally liked him, but I definitely felt like, I mean, come on, did anybody really expect him to live? Probably not. I mean, to be honest, I'm not the kind of person, like, when I watch a TV show or movie, I'm not the kind of person that like guesses what's gonna happen next. So I didn't guess like whether he was gonna die or not, which, spoiler alert, he dies. But I mean, in hindsight, I probably should have thought, yeah, he's not gonna die, but I'm not that kind of person, so I liked him personally. Okay, let's talk about Murray. He's another new character. I think his episode was 5 or 6, I'm guessing. I don't remember exactly. But he is the character that Nancy and Jonathan go to basically get more information about the Upside Down and kind of, you know, figure out how to reveal Barb's death to the world in a not so crazy way, I should say. And while and this character Murray, he's very like, he's a very he sees through the bullshit. I feel like it's one of the best ways to describe it. Like, he can read people really well, and of course he reads Jonathan and Nancy very well, and he sees the chemistry between them, which, I mean, you have to be blind not to see their chemistry. I personally love them together, and I'm so super happy that they finally got together and they finally kissed, and it was all great. And I really liked his character. At first I was kind of like about him, because I thought he was kind of creepy and weird, but after the fact, like, I like him a lot, so he was cool. The new characters I didn't love were Billy and Max. Billy is Max's brother, and Max is Mad Max, and she's like a skateboard, video game playing new kid. They're new kids from California, and I didn't like Billy because I felt like he was an asshole. Like, he was like the definition of an asshole, basically. And Max, I liked Max overall, but I felt like she wasn't really completely necessary, and in some ways she was kind of put into the show just to like put some hormones into the show. I felt like, and you know, I don't know. I'm not like over the moon about her. Hopefully season 3 she'll have more development and we'll learn more about her, and you know, I'll actually like learn to like her character. Like, I didn't hate her character in the first season, and in this season, I mean, in the 2nd season, but I don't know. I definitely didn't really like Billy, but hopefully Billy will redeem himself in the 3rd season, but yeah. Okay, what's next? 11 and Mike. I've heard some people think that Mike was kind of like in the background of the show, which I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like in general, I didn't love how 11 was in most of the episodes, but she didn't reunite with the group. until like the second last episode, which I didn't really love that. I would have preferred her to come back a little sooner than that. Like, I feel like maybe mid-season would have been better in my opinion, but I mean, I love Eleven. She's amazing. She's so badass. She's so cool. I definitely did appreciate her, like, learning more about her backstory and her mother, and just like learning more about like her, like basically her backstory. Like, I felt like the first half of the season she was definitely learning more about her backstory. And of course I will definitely be talking about episode 7, which most people don't like. Episode 7 of Stranger Things season 2. At first I didn't like the episode because Eleven goes to Chicago to meet her lost sister, which we meet the lost sister in the first episode. We don't really meet her, but like we see her like do her powers. And basically I didn't like the episode because I felt like they were exploiting Eleven's powers, trying to get what they wanted out of her, and you know, basically be rebels and badasses or whatever, which I just wasn't really a fan of it. But in hindsight though, I mean, yes, they could have done that episode better, and and also they could have just had the lost sister come to Hawkins for some reason. Like, I feel like they could have done that instead of taking Eleven to Chicago. Like, I felt like that was kind of weird. Like, why? How would she get money to like go to Chicago? You know, like, I mean, like, yeah. So it was probably one of my least favorite episodes of the season, but overall, still not horrible in my opinion. But I felt like the reason that they did the episode was so that she could kind of learn more about her powers and learn more about her history. And I felt like it was the theory of it was interesting, but yeah, the application of the episode and the characters in the episode, not the best, but I didn't hate it. It's okay. Let's talk about Lucas. I'm not the biggest fan of Lucas. I would say I like Mike, Dustin, Will, Lucas. Basically. I love Will because he's such a good, kind, caring person, and he's just awesome. I love him, and he's so cute. Dustin is so funny, and he's so helpful, and he's just great. Will is so interesting in this season, and I just love him. Lucas, Lucas in the first season was kind of just like an antagonist, in my opinion. Like, he was just eh. And then in this season, he was less of an antagonist, and I did like him a little bit more, and his sister and his family were great, and Dustin's mother was great also. I think I like their families more than, well, Lucas's family more than him. I mean, I'm just not a huge fan of Lucas in general. He's not my favorite character, I think. I don't know. But this season, he was better for me. But honestly, when I think about the show, Mike, Dustin, and Will definitely pop up in my head more than Lucas does. And I felt like people kind of feel like the opposite of that, but whatever. So my conclusion of this season, I very much enjoyed it. I loved like seeing more of the Upside Down, and more of the creatures, and the Demodogs were really cool too, which I didn't really talk about those, but they were really cool. I definitely really like this season, but when it comes to this show, I love Stranger Things in general. Like, 100% love this show. It's amazing. And you know, I told a couple of people that they could literally have 11 running away from people the whole season or the whole series, and I would still watch it and love it. So I'm just biased, but overall I did like the season. Was it as good as the first season? Probably not. I give the first season a 9 probably, or a 10, maybe a 9, probably a 10. This season probably like an 8, maybe like a 7 or 8. Like, it was slightly not as great. Like, the first season gets an A+, the second season an A-. Like, it's still really good and fantastic, but episode 7 could have been better. And you know, I mean, there was just different things that could have been better, but overall I did like it. Overall, not bad. So I love this season. Go check it out if you haven't already. Sorry if I spoiled anything, but that is my review of Stranger Things season 2, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoy Stranger Things as much as me. And I thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!